Hi, my name is Marta. I'm a PhD student here at Volt, and I work at the interface between experimental plant ecophysiology and modeling. So I basically try to generate data for plant responses to changing conditions, so then I can use this data to integrate it in models and try to predict plant responses to future scenarios. So my PhD focuses on quantifying the impacts of climate-driven stressors on plant physiology and understanding how these affect gas exchange between plants and the atmosphere. This includes understanding how plants react, for example, to long-term warming or to heat wave and drought pressures in terms of their photosynthesis or VOC emissions. But I'm actually also interested in understanding how shifting herbivory pressures, for example, can affect plant stress and VOC emissions as well as photosynthetic rates. Yeah, so I guess I've always been interested in ecology in general, like from biogeography to evolutionary ecology and wildlife biology. My family, my grandparents and my dad, they always had a garden where they grew their own vegetables. So yeah, I was in contact with plants and I always thought it would be fun to know more about the processes that go behind what's happening. I also kind of was always drawn to the Arctic, I think, because I used to watch all of this, nature documentaries and adventure and exploration documentaries, and I've always really liked that. So being able to combine plant ecology and work in the Arctic or subarctic, it's really cool. Yeah, so in order to collect data, my type of data, which is photosynthesis and gas exchange data and also VOC data, I use a gas exchange system which is able to measure the concentration of CO2 in a closed space where I have my leaf or my branch. And then I have this setup connected to a VOC measuring setup, which can measure the volatiles that are emitted by the plant. So then I can simultaneously see how the plant is photosynthesizing and how it is emitting certain volatiles or others under specific conditions that I can also control. So that way I can see how the plant will respond to different stressors or to elevated temperatures. And this setup can be used both in the lab but also in the field, which is pretty nice because then you can measure under natural conditions. But of course it's also much harder to measure in the field because it's a pretty bulky equipment, and if you're moving through a mountain or through a forest, it can be a bit complicated to move it around. So the data resulting from these experiments can then be used to derive key parameters that can be used to refine and update existing models with the response of measured plants. So my favorite part about being a researcher is being in the field, really. It's super rewarding to be outside and be in first-hand contact with nature and try to make sense out of the processes that you observe. And it can be also harsh because it's usually long days and hard conditions, but I find it very rewarding. So I really like that. Then I also really like working in international environments. I feel it's very enriching because you get to meet people from all over the world and see their perspectives and also learn about their culture. So also in outside of work perspective, it's very nice because you get to meet a lot of cultures. And I also really like the creative part of research where you get to design your experiment and think about the different ways that you can approach new research questions and finding gaps. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and feel free to check out more videos by Volt.